on this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks everyone for joining. My name's Kurt. I'm the Head of Sales and Marketing at Cloud9. The aim of today, I've got Dan with me on the line from ClickDimensions. And the idea of today's webinar is to take you through an introduction to ClickDimensions, which is the inbuilt native email marketing and marketing automation tool, which you can read in front of you for Microsoft Dynamics. So I know some of you on the line already use Dynamics, some perhaps not as yet. So we'll introduce you to some of the great features of ClickDimensions to help your marketing teams. What we will just ask is, if you want to ask a question, feel free to pop it in the chat box. I'll be monitoring the chat box while Dan is talking, but we'll have a short time at the end for any questions. So I'm just going to hand over to Dan, and he will make a start.
Appreciate it, Kurt. Thanks. Yeah, and just for those who I introduced myself to and those who were not on prior, my name is Dan Gadd. I'm a Senior Partner Account Manager at ClickDimensions, actually based out of Atlanta, Georgia. But I've been partners with Cloud9 and Kurt for probably about 3 years now, and Cloud9 is a gold partner of ClickDimensions. They've got quite a few certified individuals on the product, so they definitely know it backwards and forwards, which is fantastic. So what I plan on doing today with you is taking you through a short PowerPoint, probably about 5 or 6 slides, and then spending the majority of the time in the live production environment. So going through all the different features, really showing you how ClickDimensions is native inside of CRM, and really show you how, because we can get these analytics back at your fingertips, that you really can feel that ROI of, analytics at your fingertips in real time, so that you can jump the sales process or communication process with your contacts as needed. So we'll get started here. There's going to be some natural stopping points because we are doing a webinar type session here. If you can just put those questions in the chat box, I'll just be reminding you throughout the session, and then at the end of the session, we'll answer those questions as they come. So we'll get started here. ClickDimensions, we are a marketing automation built specifically for Dynamic CRM. What is unique about us is we don't act as a standalone, don't work with any other CRM solution, again, built specifically for Dynamics. So currently, this is our feature set. We have our email marketing, web tracking, lead scoring, forms, surveys, landing pages, etc. That being said, every month we are coming out with a new update. So it is to enhance a feature or come out with a new feature altogether. We're constantly trying to stay the industry leader for Dynamics. So one of the big updates that we've had recently was actually a full social integration. So this is just an example of one of our major updates that we do every month. So this is an integration of a full social suite. We're not going to have too much time today to really cover this piece of it. But if you do have interest in social and a social platform where you can curate content, bulk schedule posts, listen into different social media platforms, let us know, let Kurt know, let the Cloud9 team know, and we can definitely schedule a follow-up session on social. But this is really a full ROI social suite that we added, and it's just an example of one of our many monthly updates. Now, the difference between ClickDimensions and every other marketing and automation tool out there when it comes to Dynamics, and that's key there when it comes to the Dynamics, is ClickDimensions is native inside of CRM, meaning everything updates in real time for you. There's no manual responses that you have to do to push or pull data in. So when we're comparing that to other tools out there, the other tools out there are either have a third-party integration or there's no connection whatsoever. And when you go and compare the two, when somebody says native versus integrated, on a very high level, they could mean the same thing, right? Where it's got data that you can communicate. When you really start getting into those two different definitions, that's where they start to see a differentiation. So when it's native, it's actually a two-way communication. So CRM and ClickDimensions are constantly talking with no human, manual input to actually get them to communicate with custom fields, updating everything in real time. With a third-party integration, when it comes to integration, you actually have to manually push and pull that data. So this diagram just explains that if you have to push or pull that data, that email marketing piece might not translate at all, or it might take an exceeded amount of time or manual effort to make that happen. So if that email marketing piece does not completely communicate with CRM, those other features such as surveys, forms, web tracking, they're going to have trouble communicating with CRM as well. If they don't communicate with CRM, they're not going to communicate with each other. And if they don't communicate with each other, you won't get that full 360-degree view of that customer journey. To further that, with these multiple features, because they're not communicating as one cohesive unit, you're actually going to need a third-party integration to that email marketing piece, that survey, that form, that web tracking. So it really does cause a lot added work that's not necessary, as well as added expense that's not necessary. Now, with ClickDimensions, we've taken all of these features, put them under one umbrella, and host them onto your CRM. So you're never going to need a third-party integration with this. It's all native inside. And just using email as an example, you create that email template, send it out. It's not going to go through your Exchange server. Rather, we're going to send it in conjunction with Azure Send, and in real time bring back that information, the opens, the clicks, the bounces, the unsubscribes, etc., and immediately push it back into your CRM. So, what's the beauty about this is we're built inside of Azure, but we don't have a data storage inside of Azure. So as soon as that data comes back in, it's immediately pushed back into your system. It's your CRM data to use, analyze, manipulate any way you'd like to. So when we're talking about sales or whether it be a nonprofit or just trying to communicate out so that your representatives can contact these individuals, when you're talking to a marketing team or a sales team or your contact team, whatever it might be, in a traditional sense, before having everything native, your marketing team and your sales team, for lack of a better term for that sales team or communication team, they've been two separate siloed areas where the marketing team has to pick and choose what they think is important from a marketing perspective to send to that contact team. And then the contact team is going to say, that's great, but I also want X, Y, and Z. And so it's a constant back and forth. It's really causing delays of actual daily functions because we're doing an internal struggle to get the proper data across. With ClickDimensions being native, we're now merging those two teams into one cohesive unit where the marketing team, all they have to do is focus on getting the most relevant and effective material out there, and all that data is going to stream back in real time. There's going to be no manual human interaction to it, and the contact or sales team is going to be able to access exactly what they need when they need it as soon as it comes in. And I'll be able to show that to you today, obviously, with our analytics and whatnot. So that's really that added value of being native. Now, beyond that, we're not going to brand on anything, so it's always going to be your domain, whether it be emails, forms, surveys, web tracking, whatever it might be. It's always going to see your domain, so you'll never see ClickDimensions anywhere. Now, that being said, we are a supported solution, so we monitor deliverability and return rate. However, we're working on the back end of the system. One thing I do want to point out is we have an industry-leading 98% email deliverability rate. So that's the highest out there. That's from years of of our servers being whitelisted with all the different email providers, from practicing best sends, things of that nature. And then beyond that, we're ranked in the Inc. 5000 for one of the fast-growing companies in the U.S. We're the only marketing automation vendor 100% built for Dynamics CRM. We're actually one of the top 10 ISV partners for Dynamics, and we're certified on 2011 through 365. So whatever version you're on, if you're updating to 365 with Cloud9 or whatever it might be, it's going to be a perfect fit for you. Now, from this, what I plan on doing is going to live production environment. As Kurt mentioned, as I mentioned, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box, and we'll definitely address them at the end of the session. Before I hop into the production environment, I do want to give a quick shout out to Cloud9. If you are deciding on CRM or decide to go CRM and ClickDimensions, they're definitely more than capable of handling ClickDimensions, and obviously they're definitely more than capable of handling CRM. And with that GDPR approaching, if you want to talk GDPR best practice with Cloud9 or whatever it might be, Kurt has definitely done some sessions on GDPR. I definitely highly encourage reaching out to him and discussing that, as well as best practice of using ClickDimensions to optimize your CRM and really make sure all of your data is as up-to-date and relevant as possible. So might be a separate conversation, but definitely something to keep in mind when it comes to your CRM practice and your ClickDimensions practice. So we'll hop into it. So this is my live production environment. So this is my Dynamics 365 environment. When you log into Dynamics 365, you're logging into ClickDimensions. So if I hit that drop-down tab, you have ClickDimensions right inside. So you have your email marketing area, subscription management, web tracking, posted forms and surveys, your form, survey, and landing page builder area, bulk text messaging, and event integration. So a full marketing automation suite right inside of CRM. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with email templates, and we're going to walk through those email template builders and how you're going to build that out. Then we'll be able to see the analytics. Then from the email analytics, we're actually going to cross-reference that to our web tracking analytics and really show you how it all picks up and makes one cohesive picture of what a person's doing, how they're doing it, and when they're doing it. So, like I said, we're going to start with email templates, and I'm going to pull up a drag and drop editor. With ClickDimensions, you have 4 different kinds of email template builders. Like I said, we're going to take a look at the drag and drop today because it's the easiest to use and one of the highest used. editor types that we have. Now, that being said, we do have 3 other editor types. We have a block editor, and that's pre-made areas inside the template where you can right-click and upload content. You also have a freestyle. This is similar to a WYSIWYG, so toggle between text and image and HTML. And then last is that custom HTML editor. Write that HTML and generate that email template. Now, as far as flexibility, if you have any templates currently in your current system, or if you've been using like an Adobe Wizard tool, something like that you want to bring them in, you can. Copy the HTML off the back end of those templates, paste it into that freestyle editor. It'll generate that email template for you. So very easy to do, very flexible to do. The other thing you can do is, say you're comfortable with HTML, but no one really wants to build a full HTML email from scratch. It takes a long time. It's very labor intensive. You can actually start in the drag and drop, build the base of your template, save it, and convert it one time. Just be in the freestyle editor. From there, you can add your custom HTML that you'd like to add. So you don't have to build a full template, but you can add different nuances of custom HTML. Like I said, we're going to take a look at the drag and drop. I do apologize. This is my play area. It's not the prettiest in the world, but I am going to show you a finished product here a little later on. So you have a variety of layouts you can start with. And then from that, it's just a matter of adding content. So I can go in, drag in a new image, open up my image manager for us, and we can either pull images from folders we might have saved for themes or campaigns, or if I want to bring a new image in, I can drag it straight off our desktop into this upload an image area. I can then go ahead and select an image, hit OK. It'll add it in there to be proportional and clear. So very simple to do. Now, say I want to move to a smaller area, I can do that as well, and it will adjust to be proportional and clear. So again, very easy to move around and manipulate. Now, beyond that, if you want to edit these images, hit that image button there, the little pencil, and you can pull from a variety of options. Now, I like to show the resize because typically that's what people are editing the most. So if I adjust that height, you'll notice that width will adjust to be proportional and clear. So very simple to do. Now, from that, say we want to hyperlink a few different items, we can do that as well. So you hit this little link button here. You have the options of a website URL to a PDF file. Now, when you link in a PDF file, you can pull in your file. What is nice in the analytics, it's going to track that click through to a PDF file. So you can actually see not just to the website, but maybe if somebody's clicking through to your LinkedIn page, to a PDF file, to a event that you're running, whatever it might be. Really quite nice there. As well as we can link phone numbers. Now, because we are mobile responsive, it's nice to be able to link phone numbers. People can look directly through from their mobile device, click on the mobile number, and it'll call directly through. So again, another nice option there. And then beyond that, I know I mentioned we have a social integration, which again, if you want to see the social integration or the social suite, contact your sales rep, Kurt, whoever it might be at Cloud9 to set up a call about that, and be more than happy to present the social suite to you. That being said, we do have 2 different social options within the email template. So we have social sharing and social linking. With social sharing, say Kurt send me an email, I click on that LinkedIn tab, it's going to prompt me to share that email onto LinkedIn. So a little bit of indirect advertising. The other option we have here is social sharing, or social linking, I apologize. So same idea, Kurt sends me an email, I click on the YouTube tab, it'll link me directly through to the Cloud9 YouTube homepage, which will probably have a recording of this session after it is over. So 2 different options there, that's really quite nice. That's going to drive your social usage. And then beyond that, what sets us apart from everybody else is we're native inside of CRM, meaning we sync with the metadata. So when you're configuring, or when Cloud9 is helping you configure your custom fields, ClickDimensions is actually going to be able to communicate with those custom fields as you put them in the contact record, the account record, whatever it might be, which means we can access them and update them in real time. So one way to display this is subscription preference. So with subscription preference, you have the option of a global unsubscribe, which would be one click unsubscribe from everything. In real time, it's going to update that contact record, put them on the proper suppression list so they do not receive any emails. The other option you have here is subscription management. This is where you can create your own custom opt-in, opt-out lists. Now, this goes twofold. So one, if you're creating your own custom opt-in, opt-out list, you can actually put those field records on the contact, and that way you know exactly what they're interested in. So that's one benefit of that. The other benefit is you're actually going to be able to have a better GDPR best practice. So we're updating everything in real time. So they can double opt-in, single time, whatever it might be, to what they exactly want to receive. And that way, if you were to get GDPR audited, when we're talking best practice, you can utilize this for your best practice of GDPR. Make sure all of your data is up to date. There's no duplicates. There's nobody that hasn't opted into something, things of that nature. And again, if you want to talk best practice, I know Cloud9 has been doing quite a bit with best practice on GDPR, so definitely worth talking to Kurt about this and an overall strategy to move forward with. So again, really quite nice being native inside of CRM to update everything in real time. Now, beyond that, we also have our dynamic content. So dynamic content is going to be very easy to use. If I hit this little person icon right here, it's going to open up these 5 entities for me: owner, lead, contact, account, or email send. So we can actually pull a field from any one of those entities. So if I go in and grab, say, that first name or full name, it'll add it, recognize the coding, and pull the full name from the corresponding contact record. Now you can do that. You can also change content in the email. So say you're running a campaign to CEOs and CFOs, for example. Anybody who's a CEO, they might get X content, and anybody who's a CFO gets Y content. So you can actually create one long email, and it'll filter based upon that rule. So you can get really quite complex with it. Again, something that Cloud9 can definitely help with when they're configuring some email templates for you, if that's something you so choose to do. So really quite nice there. Then from that, once you're happy, you can run an inbox preview. So with an inbox preview, you have a variety of clients, so desktop, mobile, and web-based clients, and what the platforms look like under each one of these clients. So we have every option under the sun available to you. Now, say you want to see what it looks like on a mobile device. Well, I've got an iPhone 6, I've got an iPad, Pixel Outlook. I'm going to go with this iPad here. If I open that up, it's going to show me exactly what the email looks like. Again, mobile responsive, make sure that it's proportional and clear for the area. So really quite nice there. Then we can also run a spam filter. And that spam filter is going to tell us whether it passes the platform or not. If it doesn't, it's going to give us a spam score and tell us what we can do to reduce that spam score. So it's 2 great ways to test to make sure the highest quality email is going out. Now, from that, what I'm going to do is go into email sends and statistics. As a reminder, if there are any questions, please put them in the chat box, and we'll answer them at the end of the session. So we're going to go into email sends here. Now, with an email sends, it's very easy to do. So you can either hit this new button, or you can add a new draft, or you can play with the current draft, I should say. So I'm going to open up a current draft here. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pull in your email template. This is essentially a search bar of all the email templates that you've created. So what's nice is if you create a base email template, you can actually clone that email template every time and just change the content. So that's actually what we do for our newsletters. We change the content of a very base newsletter, and that allows us to keep a very similar theme over and over and over again. So anyways, choose your email template, save it, lock it into place. You can add your subject header and pre-header text. You can actually create dynamic content. You can use dynamic content in both the subject and pre-header. So if you want to call to the attention of the person, you can do that. You can also associate to a CRM campaign. Now, this is CRM functionality that's utilizing ClickDimensions data. So if you're running a campaign on a new product and you are sending out 4 or 5 emails, it's great to associate them all to that campaign to see how effective those emails were to helping close those product opportunities. And then from that, we can choose who it's going to come from. So if I mark the from record owner as yes, whoever owns that contact record inside of CRM, it'll look like the email came from that person. So for example, say I'm sending out an email, but Kurt owns the contact records. Even though I sent it, because I marked that as yes, all the emails come from Kurt. So really quite nice to be able to personalize for your sales team if the marketing team is sending out on behalf of. Or mark it as no, have it come from one specific person. You can also set up a reply to email address if you want all the email replies to come back to marketing at whatever it might be. You can then either have it sent immediately, or you can use the date and time that it's going to go out. And then lastly, who it's going to go to. So because we're inside of CRM, there's no exporting material. Rather, you create an advanced find in your CRM of a marketing list. You can pull those marketing lists in, both dynamic or static lists, come from lead or contact records. And then once you're happy with it, we can run an A/B split test. So maybe you're not sure of the content in the email or the subject header, and you want to test on a small amount of your contacts. Rather than having to create out multiple sends, we can run an A/B split test, and we can test 2 different subject headers, or who it's going to come from, or 2 different email templates altogether. So in this case, I'll go with 2 different subject headers here and hit next. And I can scale this. So say 10% of version A, 10% of version B. The remaining 80% of the market list will receive the most effective subject header. So I can test this and have it run automatically. And because it's a subject header, we'll go with open rate rather than click rate. If you're changing the content of the email, I would go with the click rate. and then you can test for hours, days, or weeks. Great way to make sure the majority of the market list receives the most effective version. And then from that, once we've sent the email, obviously we want to see some statistics. So what I'm going to show you first is statistics from an individual send. And then from that, what we'll do is go into a contact record so you can see it from a contact-to-contact basis. So in real time, this data updates for us, and we can obviously see a snapshot of the report here. However, if I hit this email statistics tab, it's going to give you an overview of a variety of different ways to look at it. I really like this. It's a brand new view for us that came out in November. It's fantastic. So the first thing is the overview, and you can see the overall performance. So the percentage of interaction, bounces, and unsubscribes, as well as the click rates, the open rates, and the hard and soft bounces. So it gives you an overall idea of how effective that particular email was. So this is great for the marketing team to say, okay, well, this email is really good. Let's keep the theme this way, or it was not effective. We need to adjust a few things. Now, if you ran an A/B split test, that'll be here as well. And then from that, we can say, okay, what are our top email clients? So if we're sending out an email, obviously we want to know what are the vast majority of clients that we're working with. So we're working with Outlook and iOS for us, our top two. So we want to make sure that we're optimized for those two clients. Also, is it on a mobile or desktop? If most people are opening your emails on mobile, well, we better make sure that looks as clean as possible. Then from that, we can see our conversions. I really like this one because it's approving that ROI. It's showing us, hey, we sent out an email, and these are how many people that actually went to the website from it. These are how many forms that were submitted. These forms can be related to X amount of opportunities. So we can see 628 visits and 66 forms were submitted. So really quite nice there. Now, I actually did a demo with this email last week, and it was 65 forms. So for some reason, somebody went back to our August newsletter, filled out a form, and it updated us for in real time. Now, from that, we can take a look at social shares. If somebody were to share the email socially, we'd be able to see where it was shared and who did it. So again, really breaking it down to that granular level for us. And we can also run a click heat map. So this is actually a finished email that we sent out using the drag and drop email template builder. And we can see the percentage of where people clicked in the email. So we can see what was effective, what wasn't. Now, by going through this email, we can realize one thing. People didn't realize that these were links, and that's why we have such few clicks here, whereas this was a very straightforward, it's a link, and we have an 8% click rate on this piece. So going forward, we know to make it a little more clear that these are the links in the email. And then from that, we can also run a click report. So if we want to break it down to a very granular level, we can go in and we can see each individual link in the email, see the unique clicks versus total clicks, and then we can go and click on one of these and can see each individual person clicked on that particular link in the email. So it really tracks everything for us to that granular level. So from that, what I'm going to do is go into a contact record so you can see the analytics from a contact record. That being said, if there are any questions, please, again, put them in the chat box, and I will definitely address them here at the end of the session. So I'm going to click through to contact here, and the key thing to remember about ClickDimensions, whether it be emails, forms, surveys, web tracking, any analytic from your marketing effort, it's going to sync back to the contact record in real time. So again, if we're talking, for your sales reps or anybody who's reaching out to your contacts, they can actually jump the process of people doing their own research by seeing, okay, this is what they're looking at. Let's make relevant content to them right now and either email them, call them, whatever it might be. So if I hit that drop-down tab, anything you see in this green color, this is ClickDimensions data. So visits, opportunities, event participation, sent emails, etc. So if I scroll through this contact record, you can see lead scoring. It's one of the features of ClickDimensions. You can see a lead scoring based on emails clicked on, forms downloaded, web page views, etc. So as they interact with your marketing efforts, it's going to accrue them a score. Now, if I scroll down further here, we can see the form that was submitted, as well as each individual email and how it's been interacted with, and each individual web page view. So again, tracking everything to that granular level for us. Now, if I go in and click on one of these emails, I can see the score that Christy received, as well as the deliveries, the opens, and the clicks, and each individual click. So if I go and click on the link she clicked on, it's going to take me right to that web page, which in this case, as I mentioned, is a PDF that will track through PDFs. And you can see exactly what PDF she's looking at. So if I'm going to go and call Christy right now, I know to talk more about the breakdown of CRM than anything else, because that's what she's starting to work with. Now, the way our web tracking works is we provide you with a tracking script. So in your settings, can go into here and you can pull the tracking script and you can put it in the global footer of your web page. So we go here, go to tracking script, take that tracking script, put it in the global footer of your web page, and then from that, it's going to start tracking everybody that comes into your website. So the first time somebody comes in, if they're not inside of CRM already, it's going to cookie their IP address and mark them as an anonymous visitor. Once they do identify themselves by voluntarily filling out a form, click on a link in an email, somewhere where they identify their first name or last name, it's going to create a lead, which will then qualify into a contact. Once a contact, it's just going to update the record every single time they come back in. Now, the keyword there is voluntary. Again, GDPR compliance, we have to make sure they're opting into everything. So they do have to give their first name or their last name, again, to update everything for us. Now, if I go in and click on, say, Joe here, and hit that drop down, go to page views, and I can actually see each individual page view that Joe has, breaking it down all the way down to the browser and operating system. So if I go in and click on one of these here, open it up, I can see exactly what Joe is looking at, again, down to that granular level. Now, with ClickDimensions, we bring everything in to a granular level, right? So we're going to bring everything in as minute as possible. That being said, using CRM and help with the assistance of Cloud9, you can actually take those granular one-off web trackers and make overall trends. So one that I really like, I created a dashboard that I really like that you actually use web tracking and forms. If I go in and go to one of my dashboards here, so web activity based upon forms, I can actually see overall trends rather than just that granular level. So I can see forms by week, and you can see the individual forms, so we have our blueprint form, our ebook form, and our ROI quick guide. And I can see what were the most effective forms by week. And for whatever reason, our ROI quick guide gets almost no interaction whatsoever, but our ebook here got 70 visits last week. So it really does track it any way you'd like to. It's just a matter of how you want to actually manipulate the data. Now we can also track the entry and exit points. So if you want to see click-throughs from Google AdWords or LinkedIn ads, you can actually see how effective those are as well. So if I go back into the visits, we have a advanced find on our Google search ads in the last 30 days. How effective were these ads? How many people did we drive to the website? So we can see almost 1,000 people were driven to the website in the last 30 days from our Google AdWords searches. So from that, what I'm going to do is go into campaign automation. It looks like we got a question here. So one of the questions that we got is how would I go about creating a double opt-in process? And so with that double opt-in, basically, and that's, again, more GDPR best practice, which if you want somebody to assist with a full-on in-house help with that, definitely Cloud9 will be able to do that. But what you would do is you actually use our subscription management, which is essentially a form where you create what people can opt in and opt out of. So when they fill out that subscription management or preference center form and they submit it, we have autoresponder on the back end. So we have an autoresponder available as a functionality, which is an action. So as soon as they submit that form has a subscription preference in it, it's going to immediately send them another email that says, are you sure you want to opt into? And it can populate what they've opted into. They can confirm that. There's your double opt-in to do so. So very easy to set up. Basically, the functionality for this is already in place. It's just a matter of how you configure it or build out your subscription management or your preference centers. And again, something Cloud9 can definitely come in and help you do with some service of building those double opt-ins, building in those processes. And you just need to have an idea of what exactly you want to do with your marketing day in and day out. So from that, what we're going to do is go into campaign automation, and then I'm going to actually get into those forms, surveys, landing pages, things like that. So campaign automation is a really powerful tool. And actually, before I go into campaign automation, I'm going to show you real quick. If you're interested in social, something that's included with all of our subscriptions is a very basic social. And so you can do one-off posts from here. So you can go in and open up a campaign that you have within your social posts, and you can create a post. And this will do one-off posts for you. So it's very basic and gives you a little taste of social. But if you want to go a little more in depth, you'd want to take a look at the full social suite. So you can go in and take a look at, you can choose Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google+, the account that you're going to post from, and then what you want to post, as well as the content. So anything from a local file to Instagram. So very basic post here, but it is included with all of the all of the ClickDimensions subscriptions, and then we have a full social suite add-on as well. So back from that, we're going to go into campaign automation. Campaign automation is a fantastic tool. It's what I would call a set and forget tool, where you can create up a series of actions, and then based upon the reactions, it'll automatically send them something. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up my campaign, and we're going to run through a scenario of 2 new products that you have available, 2 new services. So I'm going to open up this builder. So what we'll do is we'll go in here, and we're going to build that in action. So we'll run through the scenario that we have 2 new products. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have an email, and we're going to have a form on the website. And that email is going to be our trigger point into this campaign automation. So before we actually send out the email with the 2 new products that we're highlighting, we're going to build up this full campaign. So we'd create that draft, which would be sent out to trigger this campaign automation for those 2 new products. And we pull that draft into that email interaction. We'll say this is our email. And from that, we also have a form on the website. And in that form, we might have a question of, are you interested in product A or product B? So from that, we're going to say, okay, we're going to address this email interaction. Now, with an email interaction, you create that email draft in there, and then you have your trigger types. So you have email clicked or email opened. With email clicked, we can actually choose which link. So we can say these first 3 links are for product A, and the next 3 links are for product B. And what I've done is I've saved those 3 links and put check marks on them, which creates a rule for the positive thread. Anything I did not check mark goes through the negative thread. And that's how we're going to be able to separate these people based upon their interaction. So I check marked a few of those, and you can see the positive thread and the negative thread. So when people click on the link for product A, because I'd saved that through the positive thread, it'll take them through to series 1. If they don't click on the link for product A or click on the link for product B, it'll take them into series 2. So just from that one email alone, we've now filtered them into their area of interest. Now from that, we can have a form submission. So they'll say they're interested in product A, take them into series 1, or they might say they're interested in product B, take them into series 2. And this little purple triangle here, that's a decision node where you can actually pick your form field and choose, based upon the answer, where they're going to go to in the campaign automation. Now, if we go into this series here, we know they're interested in product A because they've either filled out the form or they've clicked on a link in an email for product A. So we'll go into that series, and then from that, we're going to add more actions. So we'll go in and say, okay, we're going to put a weight on it and allow them to process this information, whether it be minutes, hours, days, weeks, months. We'll then send them another email, call to action, purchase the product, find out more information, get a demo, whatever it might be. Put another weight on it, and then from that we can create a workflow. And so this is a CRM workflow that's actually interacting with ClickDimensions functionality. So maybe an opportunity is raised against that product for that particular contact. If an opportunity is raised, we don't want to keep emailing them about buying the product. We might want to email them something else to encourage them to move quicker in the product purchase, but we don't want to email them about initial purchases. So we're going to remove them from the marketing list using that workflow. If not, so an opportunity wasn't raised, notify whoever owns the contact record and create a follow-up task for a phone call. So if we leave like this, it'll all happen at once, or we can connect them in the order we want them to happen. And then from that, we can say, okay, we have actions in here. So based upon the next series, we can put more email interaction and really build it out as extensively as we'd like to. So we can add more triggers here. So I can add another email interaction and then move forward from there. So you can really build this out as extensively as you like for new products, for onboarding, for white papers, for whatever it might be, for events. Run it, forget about it. You'll get the overall statistics and where people are on the campaign, as well as the individual participants and where they're on the campaign. So it really breaks it down for you to see how effective it is, and it's all automated. You can build this all out, run it, forget about it. What we do internally is we have the forms on our website. So as soon as somebody submits that form, we're going to start running one of these campaign automations against them, and they'll be getting phone calls from SDRs and things like that. So it's really quite nice there to be able to build those and automate it. So again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box. If you don't feel like putting them in the chat box, you can always also email Kurt or your rep at Cloud9, as well as email myself, at a later date. So whatever you prefer. So from that, we're going to talk about forms, surveys, and landing pages. So if a form is submitted on the website or a survey, in real time, it's going to update that information for us. So you can see 10:32 a.m. was the last form that we had submitted. Now for you all, that's 3:32 p.m. local. So obviously I'm in the Eastern time zone, so we're 5 hours behind you. But you can see in real time these are being updated for us. If they're not inside of CRM already, it's creating a lead for us, which will qualify into a contact. Now if I go into Joe's record here and I scroll down, you can see the last form that was submitted was 10:32 a.m. So it's all syncing for us in real time. Now, if I go into web content, this is where you build out your forms, your surveys, and your landing pages. So you can hit this new button and you choose your type. So in my case, I'm actually going to pull up one that I've already built. So I'm going to pull up a form version. All of them are separate builders. They're all just built within web content. So if I go and hit this piece here, so the first thing I'm going to choose my type. So I chose form here, save it, lock it into place, and that way I have the form designer up. Now for new visitors to the CRM, so they're not inside your CRM already, you can create a lead or a contact, and then you can also associate it to a CRM campaign. Then from that I can hit the design button, and because we're native inside of CRM and we're two-way communication, we can actually create custom fields for you all to map to your contact or lead records. So if you hit this new field button down here at the bottom, label it, choose how people can answer the particular field, the field ID, but what's key is the mapping, so we can choose where it's going to map to on the lead or contact record. So again, whether you have custom fields or standard fields, it'll be able to map to those in real time. And then it's just a matter of drag and drop. So as simple as that, very easy to do. And then from that, you can have different actions. So if you want to put an autoresponder email in there, so again, that double opt-in process, fill out the form, have them send an auto-response, and that's again for the preference centers as well as add them to a particular marketing list, remove them from marketing list, whatever it might be. So there's a variety of actions you can do that you don't have to trigger a CRM workflow to make happen, again, because we're native inside of CRM. Also part of the form, you have different form components. So putting in a CAPTCHA or a page break, file uploads, things like that. So there's a variety of components that you can put in there as well. Now, once you're happy with it, you can save it. If you want to put up the code, you can, so the CSS or the JavaScript. You can also preview it. So once it saves for me, we'll take a look at a preview. So preview it, and you can see that is mobile responsive, and we are mobile responsive on our emails, forms, and surveys. And then from that, it is on a white landing page because it's not embedded anywhere at the moment, but I'll show you where the landing pages are, as well as how you can embed directly into your website. So if you want to embed directly into your website, hit that embed button. You have the options of a URL, link, iframe widget. The widget will conform to your website. So definitely, we've already pre-populated those embedding options for you, so it's even easier to put in place. So from that, we'll go into surveys. So surveys are very similar. It is a drag and drop. The only difference is you're creating custom questions. So I'm going to go into a survey here. So it's a similar builder where it is a drag and drop builder, but again, you're creating custom questions rather than form fields. So you can see the type here is survey, hit that design button. And because, again, we're native inside of CRM and we can map where we need to, we can create our own custom questions as well. So name it, write the question, how people can answer it. And then again, it's just a matter of drag and drop. So we can make certain fields required or questions required, as well as we also have skip logic. So maybe the first question is, where are you based in the world? US, UK, EMEA, depends where it is. And that way, depending on the first answer, you can jump them to a different series of questions. And then from that, just like forms, you have different survey components. And from that, just like forms, you have different survey actions. And then you can also preview, code edit, and embed just like forms. So to give you an idea of what a survey would look like on a white background and mobile responsive, we have our star ratings, multiple choice, drop downs, things like that. So very easy to do. And then lastly, we have our landing pages. So landing pages are not a drag and drop. They're either a block editor or freestyle. If you are comfortable with HTML, freestyle does provide a little more flexibility. That being said, you can still build out a nice landing page via the block editor. So I'm going to open up this block editor. I've already started to build this one out here a little bit. And so you can see we've started to build this one out. And I can right click and add background colors, border styles, change the block width, edit the content within the email, or I can clear the content. Then I can right click and add more content, whether it be text, image, text and image, form or survey, HTML, whatever it might be. So very easy to build out there. And then once we're happy with it, we can embed. We have the options of URL, link, or iframe. When you publish it, you'll never see ClickDimensions anywhere. So we do have a quick question here. Do the survey options include NPS and quizzes? If so, can the NPS results be fed back into CRM or trigger another action, such as sending a specific email? So with the surveys, you can definitely create a quiz, and it will be fed back into CRM. So every piece of data is fed back into CRM. You can definitely trigger an email afterwards. Just like forms, you do have an autoresponder on those surveys. So if you have the questions in the contact record as fields, it will map to those fields in the contact record. If you do not, where it will filter into, and I'll pull up my contact record here so that you can see. If I go into posted surveys, I can see each individual survey which I've submitted, which I've only submitted one back in 2014 as an example, but I can also go in and see my survey answers. And so I can see all the survey answers I put in place. So it'll map back to the contact record. You can send an autoresponder email after the quiz has been taken. You can actually run a advanced find or a different CRM breakdown to see averages on answers as well. So it's really quite nice there, but it'll bring in all that data for you in real time and map back to the CRM record. So the last two pieces I have are integrations. So if you do use bulk text messaging, we do have that available. It is an integration, so you're going to need a subscription with either Twilio or bulk SMS. Either one integrates directly in, and then from that you can create out your SMS message. So you create out your content, add your marketing list, and it's just like sending an email, but it'll pull the mobile number off the marketing list. And then from that, we also have integrations for events. So if you use event tools such as Eventbrite, GoToWebinar, WebEx, or or Cvent, it's going to sync everything for you in real time. It is an integration, but to give you an example of an Eventbrite event, I'm going to go with a past event here. Regardless of the tool you're using, whether it be online or in person, it is going to sync back in real time. So the UI is exactly the same whether you're using Eventbrite, GoToWebinar, Cvent, or WebEx. So in this case, I have an Eventbrite up, and so you can see the event description for it that happened, as well as the source. So we're trying to pull in as much information as possible. Then you can see the URL for it, as well as the other relevant data. Now it's really nice, whether it be, again, the online or in-person event tools, when they register for the event, so in this case Eventbrite, they'll get a QR code, but it's also going to register them for the event here. So you'll be able to see in real time who's actually registered for the event. With Eventbrite or Cvent, if you scan the QR code or manually put them into the system, it'll update in real time to who missed and who attended the event. So the ones who attended will say attended, the ones who did not will say registered. With GoToWebinar or WebEx, the difference is if they log into the event, it'll update to missed or attended for you at the end of the event in real time, as well as how attentive they were. So it's really quite nice there to be able to have all this different piece of information seamlessly put into place, and that way you can mark to the ones who attended as well as the ones who did not. So that being said, that is a broad level overview of all the features of ClickDimensions. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions. If Kurt has anything to add, more than happy to have them jump in here. Again, Cloud9 is a fantastic partner of ours. They're definitely able to do some ClickDimensions implementation for you, as well as some support, and we work very closely together. So any questions that you have, you can always ask Kurt or myself, and we're able to work back and forth with each other.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Dan. And yeah, as Dan said, we've got sort of 10 minutes or so. So if there are any questions, feel free to unmute yourselves or type into the chat box. A really good overview there in 50 minutes, which is not an awful lot of time to show you all of the features, but hopefully it's given you a bit of an introduction. And as Dan said, if people would like to pick up offline, organise any follow-up calls, or go into certain parts in a bit more detail, then by all means let us know and we can facilitate that. As we said, we'll leave the session running for the next 10 minutes or so. Feel free to dive in with any questions that you may have. And if not, thank you very much for joining.